the 100 Season 4, Episode 12, The Chosen. This was definitely a great episode leading into the season finale. It just has me excited exactly for where things may or may not be headed, because with what they did with our group, we have Bellamy, Clark, Omori, and Murphy. They take off and they're going to get Raven. Things fall apart. It's like, crap, we can't get there in time. Monty and Harper have to pick them up in their truck, so they have to make this decision for a minute because things seem okay with Clark when she takes off her helmet, and it seemed good at first, and then things kind of fell apart when she actually started coughing. So they had this decision for a split second, like, do we leave Raven or do we go to Polis because we can bring a bunch of people back and save, all of them? And then, of course, when that fell apart, they decide, all right, well, if this isn't working, then we need to get to Raven. We need to actually save her life. And when they get there, they don't have time to get back. And we find out that on the way, and I know I'm skipping like everything. This is basically the end of the episode, but this is like my favorite part to speculate on. But when they get there, their plan, for whatever insane reason, well, it's not an insane reason, it's just an insane plan because they don't really have a better plan with too much reason to it. But their plan now is, since we can't go back, let's go up. So their plan is to go back to the Ark. And they talk about how, we don't have any fuel, and it's like, well, that seems like a 5-year plan, because that's the whole thing, is that they calculated that it's going to take 5 years for the radiation to, finally dissipate, because it's still in its giant wave form at this point, and eventually it'll start to dissipate and stuff, and it'll be, it'll kind of regulate itself and go, back to normal, or at least, spread out enough to where it's only like a little bit worse, and they can actually survive. So their plan is to go up into space to dodge the death wave, and find some way to survive up there for 5 years. And as soon as they said that, I'm like, does this mean we're getting a 5-year time skip, when this happens? And that would be very interesting. They've already done, they did, I think it was from season, it had to be from season 2 to season 3, because season 1 and 2 were like super close together. But they did it was only like a couple of months as far as the time skip. And for this one, it was basically like the day after, going from last season to this season. It was kind of like, the first two. It was almost like the exact same day. And it was like, maybe they skipped a day or two. But they didn't really skip too much time. And it just makes me wonder, like, are we going into like a really big time skip where they jump, 5 years into the future? So it has me very excited for what we should possibly expect for this. But I don't know what to think about it. It's like, man, are they going to have these characters, for 5 years, they're all separated from everybody else who's underground, all those other characters that do end up being voted out as far as, Clark's list, which ultimately becomes the decision in the end. How's that going to play out? Because I feel like, even though there are, so many people that were cast out as far as, all the different plans, I still feel like, something's going on where it's like, I feel like some people are still going to manage to survive somehow. I don't know how, but I feel like they will. I just don't know how yet. But it was a really cool way to end it, where they have this plan to go back to the Ark, and it just makes me wonder, like, are they, especially with the promo, it shows them still driving around a lot getting materials, so it's like, maybe they won't even get to the Ark, but at this point, that's the plan. And it just makes me wonder, because they don't have enough time to go all the way back for sure, so they kind of have to get these materials and go up to space. That's like the only way they can survive, because basically the scientific bunker that Raven's at, that's not enough to protect them or anything. So it just has me curious. I'm like, there are so many different elements to what they're doing with that. It just makes me wonder, should we be expecting a time skip for this season finale, which I think would be very cool. And I would just love to see that dynamic where they go back up to space and it's just like a couple of people in space for 5 years. And it's like, all right, we made it down. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But that was a great way to kind of end things off for, leading into the finale. But the rest of this episode was really freaking great too, because everything dealing with the bunker and the emotions of all these people, and you have people worried that they might not be chosen. So the guy who asked Jaha is like, hey, can you look after my son if I'm not one of the people selected? You have I believe the guy's name is Nate. His father is like, hey, I want to make sure that he has as many opportunities as possible to get in. So I thought that was, definitely a cool moment where it's like, he's sacrificing himself. And, it's just building up through the whole episode. It's like, this is what we have to do. We have to go back to this lottery system. In the very beginning, everyone's being woken up. They're all herded into one location. And it's like, you choose your 100 people, and that's all there is to it. And so as things go on, people get a little upset because you have someone who was initially Tree Crew's kind of with them and is like, hey, we're not giving up our space for this person. Ultimately, Octavia has to come in and she lays down the law, which I thought was a great moment because it was a very small story element for this episode, but it was really well done. And that was the beginning of it because she comes in, things are starting to get real crazy. And so she saves her, and I can't think of the woman's name, unfortunately. But she comes in and she saves her, and it's like, she gets a spot. Boom, it's done. So now you have, one less space to really worry about. And it's like, if you guys don't choose, I think she gave him like 4 hours or something like that. It was like, if you guys don't choose, by this point, everybody dies. And it was a very serious moment for her, but she was the one, considering she was the winner of the conclave, everyone would follow behind her option, like all the grounders would. And of course, she had Triku, Indra and Triku backing her up anyway. But everyone else would have followed in line with that too, because it's like, she's the winner, and, especially with her allowing everyone to get a seat, everyone would have definitely been like, okay, yeah, let's listen to Octavia. She was super awesome in this moment to let every clan get 100 people. So she kind of lays down the law and she leaves out, and they have this great moment. I think it may have only been like the first or second break in the show, and it's just that moment where she walks out and Indra's kind of behind her, and she turns for like a little second to look at Indra, and then she looks forward again, and she's freaking out like, crap, I kind of laid down the law to wipe out like all of these people that I grew up with, even though there are some people that she hated in there, like Jaha, where it's like, I had to live under the ground because of you, and I had to watch my mother die because you found me, that sort of thing. So it was very interesting, to see that play out with her character, where she's kind of freaking out about it. Like, I have to, be true to the decision that I made, but there's still some people that she cares about in that mix, and these are still the people that she originally, grew up with and knew, despite where she may align herself, right now. So I thought that was a very well done, kind of small storyline for her character, and ultimately, she definitely stayed true to the decision that she made, and in the end, she dispersed of the guns, and her plan was to go in there. It's like they took too long, and she was going to go in and kind of deal with this, war, and ultimately, Jaha and Kane end up coming to a solution, and fortunately, it worked out. I honestly, considering the option that was about to happen with Octavia and Indra going in with, Tree Crew, it was about to be way worse. So it was great that Kane was actually able to convince Jaha to release the gas in the room, and so they just go through Clark's list and they pick up people. Nate's dad is taken. The man who wanted his son to be safe, he of course gets pulled out as well, and so they go back and forth through all these different people, and it was just an interesting moment. It was a very well done moment too, because it's like they're the only two awake, and it's like Kane is just freaking out because it's like he knew how much worse the other way would have been if they decided to fight. Especially, they didn't even know what was on the other side, but it was about to be way worse for them. But it's still a horrible situation where they had their lottery, and even that wasn't really going to work out for them. So it was just a great way to do it, and he's freaking out. It's like, this is how we save our people, and he had to keep repeating it, but it was the best way. It was just, you still have so many people that you're now kind of banishing to death, but it was just a great way to do it. And I really love the way they handled that story, and just the emotional aspect of it for, both Octavia and like her small element, and then Kane trying to be the one who's kind of keeping things under control, and he has to deal with Abby saying like, I want you to, don't give me an automatic spot, like make sure you pull 81 names. And I was just like, man, that's kind of effed up too. And this kind of brings back, the issue with her possibly dying, because, they kind of do it like in the very beginning. It was like, okay, cool. Raven talks about how she cured herself, and Abby's in there talking with Kane, and it's like, all right, well, once I get back, we'll cure you as well. And so they don't really talk about it between each other, but I'm like, okay, great, they're gonna get Raven, they're gonna come back, everything's gonna be fine. They do their little experiment, and it's good. She'll be cured, Raven's cured already. And then all this disastrous stuff happens, and now it's like, if Raven does go into space, if they do end up doing the 5-year thing, they would either have to communicate how to do it, which I'm sure they could, because Raven is smart. She can just tell them how to do it, so I'm sure they could figure it out. But it was like the first thing that came to me. I was like, I don't know, maybe that wouldn't be possible. Maybe it's TV. Any random sort of thing can happen, and suddenly, poof, they can't communicate with each other for whatever random reason. So it was just interesting, because I was like, man, if they really do go into space, there's not going to be a way for that to really work out for Abby. So it just made me curious where things might be headed for her character, where it was really hopeful in the beginning, like, sweet, Raven's cured. She's like, don't worry, Abby, once I get back, we'll figure everything out for you and you'll be cured as well. And I was like, maybe that won't happen. Maybe Abby will die. And, depending on how they do it, if we actually get a time skip, we'll see the aftermath of that, but we won't see the actual moment. That would be an interesting way to do it. But either way, I'm super excited for this finale. They definitely did some great stuff. In general, they did some great stuff, but I really loved the bunker storyline. I think what they did for both storylines was really good. And the conclusion that they had for, the team that kind of went to get Raven, the conclusion for that was more exciting. But altogether, I would have to say the bunker stuff was really good, because it was like so many different elements to that, where it's like, it's sad and then it's really tense, because I'm like, I don't know how many people are about to get killed in like this mini war that they're about to have. Octavia has her emotional stuff where she has to remain in control and in power and even decide to take out the people that she's always known. And then you got Kane, like I said, trying to still be in charge, and then Jaha, like, we shouldn't do this, we should fight and stuff like that. And it's just crazy. There's just a lot of different elements with a lot of characters, and I just like that part of the episode more. But it was really good, all the way around. It was definitely well done, and we had some emotional stuff, like when Monty first showed up and he talks about how they had the other suit, and of course it was for Jasper. So that was definitely a great moment too, where everyone kind of just pauses and kind of looks at him, and it's like, that sucks, because they know, how close they were as brothers. So it was very well done. So I'm looking forward to this finale for sure. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, I want to know what theories you guys have for the finale. And of course, I just want to know what you guys want to see in general for the finale, because there's a lot to look forward to. I'm definitely excited for it. We have quite a few characters. Echo made her return in this, which was a very cool moment. She looked super sweet in that outfit. I thought it was just really cool. She was coming in kind of ninja style, just taking those guys out. And it was crazy. It's like, man, I know this is going to be her, but I'm like, that's just crazy. Like, it can't be her after everything she's done. But, she wanted to survive, so it totally made sense. But I would love to know, like I said, your theories for the finale, and just what you guys want to see in general for the finale. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.